And so last night, my friend Marika, recording artist, actor, she came on and here's a little summary. She said, keep your vision in front of you at all times. Don't ever let it go. One of my favorite books on depression is Lost Connections by Johann Hari. And he talks about how depression is linked to a lost connection with purpose, a lost connection with meaningful work, and a life that feels like it's being fulfilled. He scientifically connects those dots. And so this is why it's important to keep your vision in front of you at all times. Our friend Vayan, you can't see it here, but she's in a wheelchair. She was paralyzed at age 21 and she's been around the world. She's been on a CBC's documentary show called Push. She's doing Dancing with the Stars. She's been crowned Miss Wheelchair Canada and Miss Kindness World. She has traveled the world. She has jumped out of airplanes, but this is what she said. And this is the kind of woman I want to raise up. This is the kind of woman I personally want to invest in, is somebody who echoes this heart right here. I never want my influence to grow higher than my character. How you going to win if you ain't right within? Who knows Lauren Hill? Lauren Hill, how you going to win if you ain't right within? That's my kind of woman right there. Shar, beautiful Shar. She taught us last night how to dream from the dirt, that the mud pits of our lives create pearls that we can offer to others. And she showed us and told us the story through her beautiful photography of her in the mud and how coming out and having a pearl of great price around her neck and being able to offer that to others and how we can do that too. And then Dietrich and Tony. Dietrich works in the area of neuroscience, and he talked about how trauma is the absence of being companioned. But trauma is healed through community. And that's why we do things like this. We do things like this to bring people together. Dietrich is my own personal executive coach. I wanted you to have access to him. And for those of you who are wanting a little bit more, maybe some mentorship from Dietrich, everyone who signs up for our Dream Academy is going to get his $97 online course. Now, if any of you are interested in having Dietrich as an executive coach, I just want to let you know he costs $500 an hour. He's a lot of money. And I've decided that my dreams, that capacity that I need are worth my investment. And so I sacrifice Starbucks. I sacrifice a lot of the things that I like. I don't buy clothes. I go to Value Village. I thrift shop. I go to Dorothy's clothing swaps. I figure out creative ways to save money so that I can invest in good coaches. Because in order for me to go where I know I'm called to go, I need good counsel. And so the reason why I wanted to make sure that everybody got his online course from whoever signs up for the Dream Academy is because it makes him accessible to you, and he's phenomenal. Jill, how many of you just loved and adored Jill? She just gives you so much, like I can do it too. That's how I feel when I'm around Jill. And she talked about our brave belonging unlocks our ability to make that difference in the world that we dream of. And so that was last night. Tonight we are moving on. We're going to be going through our blueprint. So here is the next step in the blueprint. I've changed the order. So if you go in your workbook and you're looking at the blueprint, you're like, hey, this one's not supposed to be next. I changed it. I want to start with this one tonight, is to let joy lead you. And those of you who are coached by me personally, you know that this is actually one of my cornerstones, is that wherever joy is, that's where you need to go because that's where you are the greatest contribution. Friends, if someone put me in a class and said, can you teach these students accounting? That is not joy for me. And nobody is winning. The students are not going to learn. I'm not going to have fun. Nobody is going to have a good interaction there. But I'll tell you what, if you put me in a room and you say, can you teach this room about connection? Can you help these teachers connect with their students? I'll tell you what, I'll be like, I can do this with my eyes closed. And I'm going to have so much fun doing it. A lot of times we think that if it's fun, it must not be what we're supposed to do. Now, there's sometimes we have to do things that aren't fun. How many of you know that, right? We have to do things that aren't fun. But why can't we make it fun? We can make it fun. And if you're out of alignment, we talked a little bit about this last night. If we are out of alignment, then that is going to greatly hinder your ability to dream. So many people have had their dreams buried for years because they've been out of alignment. They haven't been connected to their purpose. They haven't been connected to that root. It's been broken. Somewhere along the way, you forgot your childhood dreams. You forgot what you really care about. And so I hope that tonight you can come back to that place that brings you your greatest joy. Because where your greatest joy and where the needs are in the world, when those two meet, I'll tell you what, it's going to blow and it's going to be amazing. And so, my question to you to write down in that little spot in your notebook is, what brings you so much joy? What would you do for free? What could you do for hours? How do you want to help people? Has there been a time in your life where you did something for someone else and you were on a high for days after? You know what else brings me a lot of joy is my dance classes. I love my dance classes. I look forward to my dance classes and I leave my dance classes going, man, I am so happy that I did that tonight. I never leave going, oh, okay, I'm glad that's over. That's a sign for me. That's a sign that this is exactly what I'm supposed to do. And so, what is that for you? What is that thing that brings you joy? Does anyone know what brings you joy? Put your hand up if you know what brings you joy. Yeah. Okay, good. Write that thing down. Well, I'm excited because tonight we have someone from the future here. Someone from the future. Someone who is literally a day ahead of us. She's coming in all the way from Australia, my friends. Somebody give this woman a prize. She is coming in from Australia. And a couple of years ago, my friend told me that someone had written a book called Loving Your Students on Purpose or Loving Our Students on Purpose. And I had read a book called Loving Our Kids on Purpose by Danny Silk. Who has heard of Danny Silk? If you haven't, incredible author. If you are having any kind of problems with your children, this is the book to read. And then read my book, Bring Them Closer. But first, read his because it's so good. And so when my friend told me that someone had written this book for teachers, I was like, I got to get my hands on that. I ordered it right away. I read it from top to bottom, I think in 2 days, because I just couldn't stop. And I thought, I'm going to reach out to this author on Instagram because I love what she's writing here. I love what she's bringing to schools, and she's creating this whole movement of being able to bring a great culture and a philosophy to schools in Australia. And so I couldn't believe it when she said, "Oh, I'll meet with you on Zoom." So we met with each other on Zoom and we became friends. This time last year, I went to visit her when she was brought in all the way to Jackson, Wyoming from Australia to work with a school, and I got to go down and watch what she does and be a part of that. And I left going, wow, this girl has a global calling on her life to bring this message to teachers to heal classrooms. How many of you think that's a worthy call right there? This woman is called to heal classrooms. But I'll tell you what, it's not an easy road. And so I wanted Bernii to come on here because here's a woman who's dreaming. But you all know that it's not exactly always easy. And so Bernii, welcome. I can't wait for you to share your heart with everyone.
Thank you so much, Connie, for that very kind introduction. Hello, everybody. I'm based in Australia, in Queensland, and it's about 10 a.m. in the morning here. So, and it's school holidays, which is wonderful as well to be on holidays. And I love the line that Connie said earlier in her summary of yesterday that dreams are worth contending for. Particularly because I am in a contending season for myself, and I'll share a little bit about that with you, I think tonight for you. But it really is like for dreams to come true, that it's a lot of hard work. And often we see people out there living the dream and we don't see the iceberg of what went into behind the scenes for them to get to where they are right now. And we don't see that place that they're in, they're contending for the next level of their dream. So that is it's just such a real part of dreaming. Dreamers are contenders. So a little bit about me. I did write the book Loving Our Students on Purpose. I am actually a school social worker by trade. I actually have 4 university degrees in human behavior and neuroscience. And my heart is to see culture transformation, whether it be in a classroom, in a staff room, or even in the boardroom with leaders. I'm passionate about helping people go on their journey to discover that relationship and connection is actually the answer to all the problems that they're experiencing and facing. It's not burnout, it's not staff retention, it's not non-compliance, it's not behavior, it's disconnection. And if they can see that it's disconnection, then we can work towards how do we build connection. So I'm super passionate about bringing that topic everywhere I go. I have a nice little family here in Australia. It's my husband and my stepson, and we and the dog. He spends a lot of time with us. And well, we're just a small family unit. We don't have a lot of other family around, but we get to make the most of our lives here in Australia. It's sunny most of the time. We get to go to the beach, and we're constantly taking off to, walking in the mountains or being at the beach. But my favorite time of day is being alone, sitting on the couch and in silence and reflecting, and that importance of taking some time out to process the day and to think and to sit with myself and discover identity, I think has become really important to me. Um, my happy place, Connie's happy place is her dance. Me too. Whilst I don't do hip hop or anything that crazy, I'm a ballroom dancer. And I chose to do ballroom dancing because I wanted to force myself to do something different and to extend who I was as a person. I'm very shy. I am very not out there. The very first time I ever stepped on a stage, I froze. And that was just me going to my lesson. There was no one else in the room. And I heard my heel click and I couldn't walk on the wooden floor. So I've worked very hard. I've contended incredibly hard to really be able to be who I am authentically, whilst I've discovered some of these really difficult parts of my personality that I've had to work through, because I don't want to be out there or visible at all. But I'm changing the narrative. It's something I'm working on. So I kind of think of what I do as a human potential architect, coming alongside people and discovering, what it is that their potential is, what is it about the connection or disconnection that's making it possible or not possible, and how to help them overcome it and move forward. And I do this with kids and students and schools, but specifically these days, my focus is really on the staff and working with the adults to be able to take the students on the journey. I could impact a certain number of kids for a while, but I couldn't impact a lot of kids. I needed more people to effectively love their students on purpose in a broader sense so that we can make a real big impact. So right now, what am I dreaming about? Well, when my book came out, Loving Our Students on Purpose, here's a little look-see of what it looks like. Loving Our Students on Purpose, like I said, it's for teachers, but it's really can be applied into any context. We could say loving humans on purpose, really. When that came out a few years ago, like that was a whole journey in itself, where I had been working for 20 years in behavior education in the school systems and had started to write down what it was that I was doing and working alongside Danny to kind of merge some of our philosophies. And it was exciting, but that was 2 years ago. And so where I am right now to where I was then is a little bit different. And so right at that point, when Loving Our Students on Purpose came out, it was the biggest thing that had ever happened to me. I didn't have any context of where it would go. And the risks that I took without realizing, I don't know if I would have taken them at the time. Sometimes I think we're lucky that we can't see the future because, once we get there, it's like, oh my gosh, how did I get here? And now what do I need to do next? So right now, what we're excited about, expanding Loving Our Students into more schools, we're really wanting to get it into the Northern Hemisphere, into Canada and USA, and to be able to give opportunities for other schools and other places to embrace a culture of love, connection, relationship, and most importantly, joyful responsibility. So to do this, we realized that loving our students on purpose wasn't enough. And so what we're working on right now is the next book, which has a working title. Don't quote me on it, but right now it's Cultural Architect. And we're looking at how do we shape environments, workplaces, schools, classrooms, so spaces that want to promote connection, growth, and that long-term sustainability. It's super challenging, but it's really exciting to move into this next phase. So a lot of work's going into writing at the moment and crafting the new concepts and processes that we can take people on the journey. Not just philosophy, loving our students on purpose, but action. Let's put this into culture. And the other thing that we're excited about right now is brand development. And I don't know about anyone out there, but this terrifies me. I have had to work through so many internal struggles to have photos taken. Next week is my branding photo shoot, and I am terrified. But, that need to embrace who I am, value who I am is so important. And that's going to show up in the photos that we do, in the website that we're developing. And that's it. It's a massive step forward in making us more accessible around the world to other people. And it's all about being authentic and knowing who I am and communicating that message with clarity and confidence. And I can guarantee I'm not doing this alone. I've got amazing people that are coming alongside me to help set this up. And in fact, you can actually hear from Caitlin tonight, who's one of those people who's really been championing me in this space. Connie asked me this question: when did you first know that you needed to step into your dream? And I just think of so many level up moments. I think the very first time I knew I needed to write a book, it was when people just kept coming to me and asking me the same thing, and I was getting annoyed that I was repeating myself. And I was like, somebody said to me, it was one of my principals I work for, he said, you need to write this down. And I was like, oh, no, like, I don't think so. And then I was with Danny, we were doing a conference, and Danny announced to the entire room of like 500 people that he and I were writing a book together. And I was like, oh, this might be happening. I better start writing. I've got some work to do to catch up. And so there were little steps at first. I didn't know it would go anywhere or that it would even get published, but I started to do it. And I kid you not, I wrote and worked on Loving Our Students on Purpose for probably 4 years before it got even to the point where we brought in an editor to do any work on it. I just worked on it, not knowing if it would become anything, not knowing what would happen, but I just knew it was important for me to work on it. And that was enough for me to start at that stage. I didn't need to know all the hows and the whys and the whats. I just needed to get started. And I think if I hadn't have taken that step and just started to collect my thoughts and put it together, my first draft was appalling. It was more like a diary of misery in a school. Like you could rename that book, The Miserable Social Worker. And in taking all the information and processing it through the identity journey that I did over those 5 years that I fully wrote the book, once we came to the end product, I'm like, that's not too bad. It's okay. It's got something in there for people. And I was really happy with that product. Now it's been a couple of years. I'm ready to, expand because I've learned more. I want to show more and expand more on what I'm doing. So I guess that's when I first knew I was really going to step into this. I was in a real crossroad moment, and I needed to decide, am I all in or not? And a few key people had really announced that I was all in. I hadn't made that decision for myself. So number one, Danny, who's an international bestseller speaker, is like, we're going to write a book together. Number two, my principal that I had worked for 10 years at that stage, when I had resigned, they were doing their goodbye party. And he made this announcement to the whole team of staff that I'm going to be going on to have this business and work with Danny overseas and produce a book and all these things. And I was like, really? This is news to me. But I started to notice that people around me were speaking into being what was the dream in my heart that I had had for so long. And I listened to the voices of encouragement and just took the next step, each step of the way. To do that, I've needed to overcome. I've needed to contend. I have needed to dig deep. I'm in a dig deep season when I realized this was the week that I'll be talking about releasing dreams. Everything in me wants to run away from my dream right now. It's so hard. This was hard to prepare because I'm preaching to myself this week. Every step forward required a new overcoming experience. It's not a one and done. And it's a process of constantly walking out with fear and trembling your bravery. So a lot of what I've had to overcome, and look, I think so many of us probably have faced the same thing, is that imposter syndrome. And am I the right person for this? And that feeling, anxious about being the face, the person up front, the person who could be questioned and criticized. You know, my little voice can be so severe sometimes, and I have to really keep it contained and listen for the voices that are speaking truth and health and value into me. And I notice this happens every time I expand. And I think of it much like a tent. I think of a round tent. That's the metaphor in my head, the picture. And every time that tent expands, there's like that new space that is opened up. But I don't yet have anything to put in that new space. So it's scary. It's a bit like, what do I do with this new space? And slowly I grow my character and my business and who I am. And I start to expand into that space. And then it's time to grow again. So I've decided that imposter syndrome is that little growth space where my tent's expanded. Now I've lengthened the cords and I've opened the tent up, and there's a whole lot of free space that is just scary and it doesn't feel like it fits right now. But I'm going to slowly expand and grow what I can put into that space. And that includes my narrative of myself. Every time I think, yes, I've got it, I value myself. And then I get to a new level and I'm like, nope, didn't value myself here. I have to go and learn again. I'm daily pushing through this. It's a barrier. And it's something that it's a constant wrestle that I'm working through. And I wish I could say it gets easier, but I'm only finding it gets harder because the more levels I unpeel, the deeper, the journey has taken me. And it's taking personal growth and focusing on, who I am as a person, but largely because what I can bring others requires me to have first done it for myself. I can only lead others through a door that I have actually been through. So we've had a lot of highs and lows. The journey has been anything but a straight line. There's been no straight lines in this story. There's been lots of highs, seeing cultures shift, hearing people step into their journey through coaching one-on-one or through working with teams and cultures and whole schools is incredible to see that ripple effect. On the hard days, when I get the doubts and the doubts creeping in, then, they're really real and overwhelming. And I go back to my basics. And I remember for me, it's faith, it's journaling, it's going and attending my coaching, like Connie spoke about, so important to me too. And making sure I come back to my core why rather than all the shoulds that I'm hearing from others. Everyone's got great ideas. You know what you should do? You should do this, you should do that. But really, it comes back to what can I do? What can I do today? And just doing the next step. And that's been huge. What's really helped me, not only have I got my study, my undergrad and my postgrad, that's really helped, but I've been a continuous learner. I'm constantly attending courses, reading books, learning more, but even more than that, speaking to people. Yeah, every year I strategically plan who I'm going to do coaching with. Now, I have one person who is my emotional development coach, and I've been with them for many years. But sometimes I'll do a year of a particular business coaching or a brand development or something for that season. And like Coach Connie said, I will give up almost anything to get a high quality coach. And so, some of those coaches do cost the earth. But very valuable if you've got a good coach who can walk you through the door that you want to go through. I look for someone who's doing it, who's ahead of me, and then I go and do coaching with them so they can show me the way. It's so much easier to be able to see somebody who's gone through it, not someone who's telling you, I think this is the way, you should go that way. And so that's exactly how I want to show up for my clients. I want to keep growing and expanding myself so I can take them through the doorways that they're looking at as well. So because I've been there first and I can actually show them. So I can't highlight coaching, counseling, supervision, mentoring, whatever you want to call it. I don't care the name they put on it, but somebody who you can see who's where you want to be, go after that relationship and sow into it because there's so much you can learn. What encourages me, there's some few basic things that actually I keep in the forefront of my mind. And I have my computer, I've got my wall right in front of me, and there's a couple of quotes that I keep there to remind me of why I'm doing this and to remember to be brave, because that's the area of breakthrough I constantly need. And one of the quotes is, be fearless in pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. Connie asked the question, what brings you so much joy that you're energized for days afterwards? And that quote's there to remind me, what sets your soul on fire? Don't be afraid of that. I bought that quote. It was a picture I bought when I was in America. And I was at a conference with Danny, and I hadn't yet released Love Your Students of Purpose. In fact, at that point, I didn't know if it would go ahead. but it was there to remind me, don't give up. This sets your soul on fire. I'm passionate about this. And every time I feel like imposter syndrome is winning, I come back to be fearless in pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. The second quote I've got that really helps me is make your vision so clear that your fears become irrelevant. It reminds me to come back to my core. What is my core vision? And what makes me so joyful, so passionate that even afraid, like this week, everything in me is like, I'm just going to go back to normal work. But absolutely, I love the vision of what I'm doing so much that it's still worth the risk. It's still worth the hard. My fears are not as important as the joy that I get. And it's a great. And so the last quote that is super important to me, it's one I put up this week because I'm in a new season of transitioning from one book, it's out, but it's been out 2 years. We don't want to keep flogging a dead horse. I want to move forward into the next thing. And this quote I put up this week as a reminder, it said, remember that time remember that time you thought you couldn't do it, but then you did. Do that again. I'll say that again. Remember that time you thought you couldn't do it, but then you did. Do that again. As reminding me to draw on the experience I had from a previous breakthrough and to look back at the gain that I got from that process rather than looking at the gap of where I want to be and criticizing myself. And so that one's helping me slowly. I read it every day and come back to it. Remember, I've overcome before. I've pushed in and reached a dream before, and now I'm going through to the next one. And it's been really helpful because I can get paralyzed, just like I'm sure many of us can. And if you picture the metaphor or the picture of an ice sculpture, when they get that block of ice, the guy sculpting it with all his precision, he can see that perfectly formed, horse inside that sculpture, but he's chipping away at it a little bit at a time. And my dream is so much like that. I'm chipping away. I can see it inside, and slowly it's getting clearer and clearer. And that journey is just that. It's a journey. I said it before, it's not one and done. It's a journey of walking it out with fear and trembling every single step of the way. And it's the experience of liminal space. I don't know if you've heard of liminal space, but it's that picture of the trapeze artist and they're swinging on one bar. And for them to reach out and grab the next bar, they have to let go of the old one. We cannot hold on to old mindsets. We cannot hold on to our old self. We cannot hold on to old dreams when we're reaching out to something new. That would be called monkey bars in Australia. I don't know what you guys call them, but monkey bars, you don't let go till you hold the next one and then you go. We want to do liminal space. It's the free flying space between one and the next. You're not actually holding on yet. You're free falling, and that's why it sucks. That's why it's so uncomfortable and difficult. But liminal space is how we get to the next bar. And it's a super important part of the process. So we need to embrace liminal space. Most of the breakthrough, most of the great ideas, most of the impact that has happened in my life has been in liminal space. A dark night of the soul kind of experience. And I'm like, how am I ever going to get through this? And then just when I couldn't hold on anymore, I grabbed the bar and it was okay. And so I encourage you when you take that leap to sit with the liminal space. It's not a 1 hour thing. It's not even a 1 day thing. Sometimes it can be a 1 year thing. It can be different, but it is so worth pursuing the next bar. And you know what? There's a safety net. You'll be okay if you fall. What's the worst that can happen? I have to self-talk myself all the time. What's the worst that can happen? So I'm just going to sum up. I want to really just encourage everyone in the room who's got a dream and wants to let go of one bar and reach out to the next. And as you're all stepping into liminal space, it's scary. So I want to encourage you with my top tips. Top tip number 1: start where you are with what you have done. All right, don't wait for it to be perfect or grand. Like when I started writing this book, I didn't know how to write. I had no idea. I just started writing my stuff down and starting to put it into some sort of order and not be ashamed that it was shockingly bad. So just get started is really important. Then take tiny steps. It's okay to take small steps. You don't need to have a marketing plan for how you're going to launch your book. You just need to start writing the back cover. What do you want to put in it? So start thinking about the little steps that you want to go each step of the way. Top tip number 3, what do you want? Discover what you want, not what everyone's shooting you. I get given advice all the time. You know what you should do? You know what you should do? Discover what you want. What's authentically yours? What is your unique ability that nobody else can do? How do you think that's a little bit different? What do people love about their connection with you? Top tip number 4, speak with some sort of coach, somebody who's going to help coach you through the journey, who's been ahead and can help show you the way. They're like your walking stick on the journey of life. Somebody who can come alongside you, your Sherpa, who's just going to show you this is the way, walk in it. So having people that you can go to who are ahead of the journey, super important. Number 5 would be surround yourself with people who are also taking risks and pursuing their dreams. If all your friends around you are not taking risks and pursuing your dreams, they are going to try to draw you back into your comfort zone. And so have some people that you can go to and share your dreams. They're like, yes, I'm taking this risk and you're taking this risk and we're risking together. Let's celebrate. And oh my gosh, that sucked. That was a hard day. And I'm here cheering you on because I get it. Really important you have those people around you. And my last top tip, if anyone is of a faith perspective, there's this brilliant little book called The Dream Giver. The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson is a parable, and he walks you through steps of through a story, much like Pilgrim's Progress, of how to actually break free from the comfort zone, face your border bullies, go into the wilderness, see what you actually need to take with you and not with you, cross over and lay your dream down before starting to pursue your giants. All right. So we have to actually go through these steps. And when you finally reach your dream and discover what it is, it's a cycle. There's a new dream that's coming. So it's not a one dream when we're done. This is cyclic. When you start to discover walking into your dream, you start to discover the cycle. So it's about courage. And courage means just do it scared. Do it with trepidation. Do it when you don't feel like you've got it in you. Be brave anyway and keep moving forward because your dream is worth it and the world needs what you have to offer. And so I encourage you, if you take anything away today, just do it afraid. Just do something. One little step. And maybe even just as we finish up, just write down what's the one little step that I can take even today to start moving towards what it is that I want to dream. Who's the person you want to tell about your dream? What could you write yourself as a reminder so in a year's time you look back on this day? What could you read that was going to help give you the tool that you need? What could you listen to? Who could you talk to? So I encourage you, write down what is one step that you can do to be brave, even though everything inside of you may be jelly and you may not want to do it, but do it anyway. Thank you so much, Connie, for inviting me to share.
Oh, Bernii, how many of you are just thinking that's exactly what I needed to hear tonight? I know for myself, I needed to hear that, Bernii, and hearing that you're in a new place right now in your dream, and that every time if you're following Bernii on social media, and if you're not, please follow her on social media. Um, when we see people like yourself out there doing these things, we don't realize how much it takes to get out there and do it. And I want to speak to everyone who might be in two different places. Maybe number one, the place that Bernii was at when she was first starting that book. I loved, Bernii, how you talked about people started to call forth the gifting in you. You didn't maybe know it or see it, but people started to call it out. Danny Silk called it out of you. Your principal called it out of you. And I think that that is so crucial because sometimes we need a surrounding of people who are around us saying, I see this in you. I know for myself, I've had people in my life call out, call forth, call up the things that are in me. And I didn't have to do it alone. And I really found that to be quite powerful, which is why I think community is so important. But some of you are in that place where you're just starting to think about the idea of stepping into your dream. How many of you would say that's you? It's like I am in phase one of Bernie's launch. That's where I am. I'm just starting to step out. Could you put that in the chat? Just starting. Here I go, doing it afraid. And if that's you, put that in there. Now you might be where she's at right now, where she has dreamed and now it's shifting and it's leveling up. And you need a whole other set of skills. You need a whole other repertoire in order to get you through. And both of them are done afraid, but this is like, I'm going to new levels. Can you put new level? So it's either the phase one or new level. Can you put that in the chat? Because that would help us because we want to help you. We want to help those. I've been in both. In fact, right now, Bernii, when you were talking about wanting to get a regular job, I'm like, that's me. I have literally been on job searches because it is hard. It is hard to go to where you are feeling you're supposed to go. And I just want to say, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud to have a friend who is out there doing it afraid. And I'm curious, could we do something just for a moment? I even feel, could we, could, this is going to feel maybe weird for some of you, maybe not for all of you, but could we extend our hand to Bernii as a symbol of we've got you, kind of like giving her a high five, like go for it, Bernii, and almost like a blessing, like get it. You have global community, go get it. Just and speaking life over your dreams, speaking courage and tenacity and multiplication and favor over your life, Bernii. You it and I just speak that over you. And if you agree with that, just say we agree. Get it, girl. Yeah, you could say that too. It's no small task to take over culture. Well, thank you so much, Bernii. You're a blessing. And Bernii, it's the beginning of her workday, so she's going to stick around, but we'll also be working. So bless your day, Bernii. Well, I want to introduce you to our next speaker, which is Nita. Nita is she is an amazing woman. I have had the honor of working with Nita now for the past 4 years. And I said to Nita the other day, I said, Nita, you are moving from being my coaching, like someone I coach to now my colleague. And that's the beautiful thing about coaching relationships. You never know who you're going to meet. And one of the things that Nita carries on her life that I learn from Nita all the time, is she knows how to gently bring people out of mindsets. Guys, I come in like a wrecking ball, okay? But Nita comes in with this gentle way about her that when you leave her presence, you feel your mind has shifted. And I have watched Nita go from doing it afraid to doing things with confidence, moving forward. Doesn't mean there's not setbacks, doesn't mean there's not mindsets that sneak in, doesn't mean those things, but Nita has tools to overcome them. And she, in my opinion, is somebody who I see out there who we need to shift our mindsets. And so, Nita, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here.
Unmute. Thank you, Connie, for having me tonight. I just feel really honored to be here, and I see a ripple. I see a ripple in all the speakers. I see the mindset. I see all of the things that we are all going through in our dreams. We're not alone, which I really love. So I like all I could think last night was, wow, like Yiker Doodleberg, look out, people, because things are going to shift in our mindsets. Shift, people are ignited. People are seeing things in a different way. And having the community to be able to be just safe and be ourselves, I think is amazing. Bernii, I feel like we're going to share some things that are the same, and I hope that's okay. But what I've known is the more that we hear things, it gets embedded in our basal ganglia, which is the part of our brain that it's just so natural. And so you're going to hear some repeated things tonight, and that's okay. So I always like to start anything I do with taking a breath. And I think it's really important that we remember how to breathe. Like, honestly, do we ever? I said for 28 years I didn't breathe. So if everybody is open, just take a little bit of a second and just take a big breath in, just bringing in all the good, all the dreams, all the encouragement, and just feel ignited. And then exhale and just give yourself a little shake. High five yourself for being here tonight. High five the people on the screen and just encourage everyone like, well done. You've already taken the first step. You're here. And that really is the first step in getting curious about what is my dream? Where did I come from and what's going to happen next? So I want to look at how our minds are set, because our minds are set from the things that have happened in our life. Our mindset is what people spoke over us. Our mindset is, what do we want to do next? So part of my dream, and I think back and I look like I wanted to be a mom so bad. And I said to my mom, Mom, can I be a mom? And she's like, go to kindergarten first, Nita. So thankfully I did that. But it's like I look back now, my mindset was I wanted to be a mom so bad. I wanted to just be the best mom that I could be. Looking back now, I didn't see my value or my worth in being a mom because I called myself just a mom. But yet, and looking at my mindset and looking now that my legacy, everything that I'm doing is on purpose, and that ripple can just continue on. So um I noticed when my daughter was going to graduate, so a decade ago. So I have 4 kids and 5 grandbabies now. But reflecting back a decade ago, I knew I wasn't going to be okay when she left because she was the baby, and I knew I needed to think differently. I knew I had to make a choice. I knew I had to do something different. So, like Bernii said, I got a coach. I got a coach because I knew I needed some mentorship. I went to counseling. They told me I'd never be normal. So I'm like, okay, well, let's try a different approach. And I needed someone to walk alongside me to help me shift my mindset. So today we're going to go through, and I loved how Tony and Dietrich had yesterday. They took the word dream and they built an acronym out of it. So I'm going to do the same thing, but my words are going to be very different than what they said. And what I'm noticing and the different things that I've noticed. And what are you noticing tonight? Are you noticing that, yes, I want to do this, but I'm really afraid? Yes, I noticed in the chat that some people are like, yeah, I'm just starting. So you're afraid, but you're excited. And then some of you are already doing it and you're in the middle and it's messy and you're like, oh my goodness, like, where am I at? So taking the analogy is like, we're going to go through life like this. It's a roller coaster. There's the valleys, there's the top, and then there's the twirly things that make you scared and want to throw up. But that really is our life is we are on a roller coaster. So it's like buckle up, hang on, and say, I've got this, because what is possible when I step into my dreams? So if you want to take the word dream and then just break it down, like the letter D, and our first letter is going to be in dream is the decision and the discipline. Now, how many times have we heard that? Everybody made a decision. They made a decision of what they wanted to step into. And sometimes we don't know. We don't know what that decision is, but we need to, just kind of look and reflect and understand and just really see who impacts us. What are the people? Who are the people out there that you think, oh, I would love to do that. And I remember when I was a young girl that there was a lady like Connie in the school speaking life to us kids. And I thought, I want to do that someday. I want to be able to encourage others. And then I started to notice that I would join a summit like this and think, how could I do that? How could I speak life to people? How could I encourage and motivate others? Let me tell you, I had a lot of fear. I did do a few things throughout my life, but it was like I was so afraid. But I noticed that I wanted to keep doing this. Anybody else here? Say yes in the chat if you want to speak life to others. You can just put it in the chat. I'll try. Okay, awesome. Excellent. So one day, like Connie said, I was her coach and I was having a conversation with her, and this memory came up for me. Again, it's that reflection thing and being able to talk to somebody and the impact. So that lady, when I was young, had impact on me that I wanted to do something different. But then there's also negative impact. This memory came up where I was singing and my grandma told me stop singing. I didn't have a very good voice. That impacted me because it was like, oh, I have to stop singing. I don't have a good voice. And then my first public speaking experience in school, I'm going to apologize because I'm going to say a word that I don't like to use, but I was in school and, we had to speak in front of the class and I was excited and nervous because, again, I love public speaking. I mean, it is the number one fear, but it was something that I always wanted to do. And when I was speaking, I don't know what I did, but he told me to sit down and quit acting like a slut. That impacted me. And it impacted me for a long time. And it blew my mind. I don't know what I did. And again, still now to this day, I've processed it, I understand it, but it really impacted me in a way that I thought, how am I going to shift my mindset so that I can make a different impact? And now again, reflection and looking back, affirmation and being kind to people is something I value so deeply because that impacted me. So when we look and we like, what mindset, what are we believing, and what are we wanting to make a difference because of what somebody said to us? So through the work, through meeting Connie, and in 2020, she held a challenge kind of like this. It was a little bit different, and it was called Get Off the Bench. And that impacted me. I had to decide. Like, I had to decide to get off the bench. I had to make a decision. I had to be disciplined. And I had to partner with the decision that I'm going to do this and trick myself every time I was shaking in my stilettos, writing a book on that, telling myself, why bother, procrastinating, feeling not good enough. I had to learn that it's not productive to fight all my own thoughts, but build new ones. So learning how to build the new thoughts so that we're not partnering with the imposter syndrome, so that we're not partnering with what people have spoken over us and not partnering with, yeah, no, I want to make an impact. I want to set things and think of things that are positive in my life. So again, it's that decision and that discipline and constantly partnering with what do I want to do and what impact do I want to make in the world, one person at a time. So the next letter is R, and that's resilience. We've all talked, we've heard all the speakers talk about pushing past the dirt, going through the rough times. How Bernii was just talking about, she's transitioning. She's going through a different time in her life right now. But what happened to you and what happened for you? And because of that, you are resilient. You are overcoming. You are understanding that your experiences, you have a PhD in your experiences. So when you want to make an impact and make that different and change your mindset, remembering some of the things are not your fault, but it's shifting and understanding and knowing that, how I know where I was, I know where I want to be, and that gap is is the stepping stones. It's the resilience. It's acknowledging where you have come from. It's honoring all your small wins. Um, like I love Maya Angelou too. I know she's been quoted a little bit, but those small wins, those small steps forward, that momentum, that motivation, and just keep celebrating yourself and those around you, that builds resilience. And Maya Angelou said, "We delight in the beauty of a butterfly, but rarely admit the change it has gone through to achieve that beauty." And that is resilience, is what you come out of as you are in the butterfly and reflecting on your journey and recognizing that your resilience is a part of what makes you beautiful and strong. So our next letter is educate and execute. Again, I love learning. I'm on a learning sabbatical right now because I hid behind learning for a little while. I was learning so much that I wasn't putting myself out there because I spent so much time in learning. So continue learning, continue focusing on the things that bring you what you want. And it's doing that one thing. And I don't know how many times you're going to hear this again tonight. It's just one thing. Because one step, even if it's 5 minutes and 365 days, you're going to be so happy that you took the time to invest in coaching. And if you want to learn how to speak or writing a book or just understanding what do I need to learn a little bit more, take it and do. Take it and do. Take it and do. Don't just learn, 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 but take what you've learned and keep doing. And when it seems messy and when it seems scary, that's part of your success is because you're taking it and you're doing and you're getting supported in it. I love that everybody has talked about, surround yourself with people who are one step ahead of you so that you can keep moving forward. And again, another Maya Angelou quote, "How old will I be if I want to learn something today? You'll be the same age if you didn't." So it's just keep doing something, keep learning and keep taking and doing with it. And then our next word is alignment. And Connie literally was just talking about alignment. I have a bookmark story that I'm not going to share today, but it is a great reminder to, it's not about work-life balance. It's more about aligning with what kind of relationships you want. What is your purpose, no matter what season you're in, and what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? And your values, what are the things that you want to have in your life? Elvis Presley, again, I like Elvis, he's amazing. But one of the quotes on my coffee with Nita, we were talking about values, and what he said was, oh, great, Sophie, awesome. You know, everywhere we go. So everybody hold up their hands right now, if you would, pretty please, and look at your fingerprints. They're not the same as anybody else in this room. So if you think how unique you are, and Elvis Presley said that everywhere we go, we leave those fingerprints of our values and our gifts and our dreams and our mission and our calling. Everything we touch, everything we do, we leave that behind. So one of my dreams, again, is to speak to 10,000 people and restore hearts and restore relationships and families and dreams and goals and, and writing a book, but that may not be your dream. But how are you aligning with what your values are? How are you aligning with your goals? And how are you aligning with, maybe you need to take a nap. Like I said yesterday, my last name is Nap, so I'm allowed to take a nap. But that's how I restore. That's how I replenish. That's how I get like reset and that's my action step. That's one of them. That's one of the things that I do when I notice I'm not in alignment. So thinking about what do you need to get into alignment? What do you value? And what do you see that, that may be missing in your dream so that you can stay in alignment? And then the last one I have is mindset. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time here, but our mindset is the foundation of our success. Capturing the thoughts that are stopping us uh, from our barriers from moving into our dreams, taking it, understanding it, looking at it, taking those old limiting beliefs like we talked earlier and replacing with something new, and reframing it. So what are you feeding your mind? What are people speaking into you? What are you watching? What are you hearing? Noticing that all of the stuff that's coming in has so much influence. If you can think of your mind as a garden, what are you planting? Are you planting seeds of belief and kindness, planting it in your heart, watching it grow, nurturing yourself? That fills our minds. We create new mindsets and we create new pathways. And you have to do it every single day. Every single day. Like today, I had a situation that came up and I was mad. Like I was upset, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to allow this to mess my mindset up or take away from what I want to be doing. So, I quite often say life throws you curveballs or balls in the face. Because what happens when you play dodgeball? The balls are just being wung at you. There's different things that are happening. You get an exercise ball, you get a basketball, you get all these different things being thrown at you. Your kids need you, your husband needs you. He leaves the horses out or doesn't close the gate and the horses all run out. We have actually somebody in Maristhorpe, robbers running around. The police are everywhere and Maristhorpe's on lockdown, squirrel. But yeah, it's like how many different times are we on our journey? How, are we on our path? Are we doing the things to make a difference in the world? And we get those curveballs. But that's where we have to take the time to just really look at what's happening right now. What am I feeling? What am I thinking? And how am I behaving? And having a little conversation with the little inner critic that's inside of you. You know, sometimes I have to say, Nita, you know, don't allow yourself to think this way. Self, how many times are you going to go through this? Today I feel sad. That's okay. Self, what do you need? Self, I have a dog, so it doesn't look like I'm talking to myself all the time, but it's like you talking to that inner critic. Sometimes fear is there for a reason. Sometimes sadness is there for a reason, but it's really understanding and being honest with yourself. Just being truly honest where you're at, what you can do, and then just step and each day. So my bookmark says I have to arise, shine, rest, and align. Every single day is my intention, how I show up. I have my morning practice so that I can brain dump everything that's here, just get it out. And, making the impact and doing what I can from where I'm at in 5 minutes, you know, and just really having the people around me. So speaking life to people again was my dream, was my goal. Being a keynote speaker, I thought, oh, wouldn't it be so cool to be a keynote speaker? And I got to be one. I was like, wow. But you know what really resonated with me the most was how many lives can I speak to? I like my goal, my dream is 10,000 in one place at one time, but it starts with one. Who can I speak life to today? Who's on my mind that I can set and send from my heart some kindness? Send some kindness to somebody else, because when we appreciate our life, and Dietrich talked about this yesterday, it's showing gratitude, it's showing appreciation. It's really, being a light in somebody else's darkness, surrounding yourself with people who help you stay there, and that you get to do this, you get to be here. The memento mori, every day is a gift. Every day that we get to be alive, we get to shift our mindset. We get to do things differently. And, and it's just writing that statement, like everybody has said, they've got quotes, they have a statement, they have the different things that they look for so that they can change. And when you're having a total meltdown, or you know what I mean, or you really need somebody, that's where you go back and you get anchored in with the people who can make a difference in your life. And you must find your people. And that's what this community is for. So one of the things that I like to remind myself about is I am a small town girl, and putting myself out there is scary. But I look at it that, I'm shifting my mindset is like, who can I impact today on social media? Who can I help? How can I share value? And let that ripple. Just keep letting it ripple. And if you look at the value that you can add in other people's lives, helps us change our mindset to, yeah, I have a unique purpose. I can make a difference. And maybe right now it's just peace. Maybe right now that's all I'm looking for. That's a dream that I have. So your dream is your dream. It's not anybody else's. It's your own dream. So we have to dream. We need to make a decision, choice, and be disciplined. You're resilient. You're here today. You have a dream in your heart that you want, and maybe you don't know, and you're still in the discovery phase, but you're resilient and you get to do that and celebrating your wins along the way. Educate and execute. Just keep doing it. Learn and go, learn and go. Keep taking those steps. Align with your values and remember to take care of yourself in the process. And your mindset, when your heart and your mind are aligned, you can build a new mindset, the past, instead of fighting all the old, reflect, reset, and rebuild new ones. So I'm celebrating you guys again today for taking the first step. I have some questions that I don't know how much time I have left, Connie.
Go for it, Nita.
Okay. So I have some questions I'm going to put in the chat, and I want you to just reflect gently. Again, no judgment, no shame, no anything, but just have a little bit of, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to just reflect. Oh, Grammarly's telling me that I made a lot of mistakes. Did it go? But I'll give you a
Yeah.
few minutes. Yeah, okay, perfect. To just look at these questions, and this is the dream questions, and just see where you're at. And then we'll come back and I have an action step for you. Oops. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for participating. Uh, did anybody find that hard? Can you just write yes in the chat or no in the chat? Or if anybody wants to share really quick. Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to just celebrate you for doing it. And that's the first step is getting curious, curious as to what is it that your mindset is at? Where are you at? And then that's when change and different things happen because it's not a one and done. It's not going to happen overnight. And it's just something that you can keep reflecting on and getting the support that you need in it. So I believe, again, execute or educate and execute. So when we learn something new, we're taking that step. And I'm celebrating you today. So if you could high five yourself again, high five your neighbor, all on the screen, everybody, send the love. And know that the things happen when we take action. Know that this is your declaration that you've already been here and you're going to do it. So if you would like to take a big breath in and exhale. And I invite you all to stand with me if you are willing and able. Everybody willing and able? Oh, Shirley, you have your hand up. Sorry, Shirley
Oh,
has.
good. Go for it, Nita. Do your
Okay,
activation. That would be
okay,
great.
I'll finish the activation. So everybody's standing. Awesome. So take one more big breath and exhale. And when you're exhaling, give a little shake. Give yourself a shake. My computer's shaking. And think, I'm letting off the fear. I'm shaking off the doubt. I'm shaking off the worries. Here I am rapping. And because you have taken this first step here today, I'm asking, would you be willing to take one more step, just a tiny, tiny step into your legacy, into your impact, into the ripple that you want to make in your dream, in your journey? And that's the second step that you've taken today. And I also want to leave you with this, just in case nobody told you today, you are a masterpiece and you're created for a beautiful, unique purpose. Embrace your inner unique beauty. Know that you are loved and let your light shine brightly because the world needs the light you have, only you can bring. So keep shining, my friends. Thank you for being here. And Shirley, if you have a question, did you put it in the chat?
The chat would be awesome, Shirley.
Okay, perfect. So thank you, Connie.
Oh, thank you, Nita. Thank you so much. That was amazing. And we're going to have a time of sharing at the end. I just want to make sure we stay on time just because of some of our other speakers who need to go off and put kids to bed. So that's why we're moving ahead. But I want you to write. So in your blueprint, in the workbook, this is the next blueprint right here. Notice there's two dream from the dirts. There's number two, which was Shar. Number three, which was Shar, Dream from the Dirt. Her her little acronym for DIRT was Dreaming in Redesigned Thoughts. Nita has a whole new dream here. And she just reiterated that. But what I would love for you to write in here is that I am statement. What statement can you speak over yourself when you're doubting yourself? And think about what has come from maybe the mud of your life. I know for myself, I wrote over myself a while ago, I am brave. I show up when it's hard. I love without walls. I forgive when it hurts. And I rise through the storm. And you might want to think about it. You might but this is a great place to write it. So when you come back to this, you can look at it again. And I'm wondering if anyone wants to write their I am statement in the chat. Would love to see what you're writing. Maybe yours will inspire somebody else's to go, oh, I would love to write something similar. Yes, I'm resonating with that. Who are you? What mindset? Who do you have the courage to become? When I wrote, I am brave, I show up when it's hard, I love without walls. I I forgive when it hurts, I rise to the storm. I didn't believe it and I didn't really live it, but I wanted to believe it and I wanted to live it. And so who do you have the courage to become? Write that as your I am statement. And Nita, thank you so much. You always um, pull out the gold in people. And one of the things that you said that I'm taking away, and I would love for everyone to reflect on what you're taking away, is this idea of what are you listening to? What are you listening to? If you are going to dream and contend for your dreams, one of the things that we need to do, like you said, Nita, is guard our hearts, for out of our heart flows the wellspring of life. And so, for example, how many of you have one of these? How many of you have a problem scrolling on one of these? I made a commitment to only scroll on my phone for 10 minutes a day. And that's it. Because I found that as I was scrolling through my social media, I would sometimes spend an hour and then I would have all these thoughts in my head. And a lot of them were negative. And I realized that it's because social media can be quite negative. And so I decided, you know what? Forget this. I can't afford to have a thought in my mind that hinders me, that brings me down. It's not that I have to stay elevated and positive all the time, but I don't need other people's thoughts and all the clutter. I needed to declutter my mind. And so, Nita, that's what I'm taking away is to come back to that commitment of what am I watching? What am I listening to? Am I consuming junk values? Am I consuming junk food for my mind? Is it leveraging me forward or is it wasting my flipping time? And these are questions that dreamers ask. This is what separates the sheep from the wolves. This is where the line is. The people that you see out there, they're afraid. And so they're guarding their hearts and their minds and they're filling their minds with things that will give them courage and strength. And so I would encourage you with that because that one for me, Nita, I think if I think of the things that have changed me the most and allowed me to dream, I think you nailed it right there. That has changed the game. And so, Nita, you're amazing. Can we all give Nita a big hand? So good. So, so good. Well, I do want to introduce you to our next speaker because Caitlin is a mom of two young children, three. Caitlin, what number are we on for children for you? What number are we on? Two. Okay, just checking.
No, three.
Caitlin has two young kids, three. So I want to make sure I honor your time, Caitlin. But Caitlin, you are someone who has helped. Well, Bernii mentioned that you're helping her with her online presence. You've helped me with my online presence. But what I love is that you came to Canada, you and your husband, and you have built a very successful business. Um, and you've been able to do it by just kind of scrounging up from the dirt and building something great. And I thought to myself, wow, there's women on this call and out there in the world who have just come to Canada, who have no idea what's possible. And I thought I need Caitlin to share her wisdom with us. And whether you've lived in Canada for your whole life or whether you're brand new here, Caitlin has so much wisdom inside of her because she has done it afraid too. And so, Caitlin, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here.
Thanks, Connie. As always, you're always pushing me to do something, always challenging me to do this kind of stuff. So thanks for trusting me to speak into your event. Actually, this is my second time. First time was with Connie, and this is the second time. So ladies, bear with me. I'm not that experienced as all these other speakers are. So when Connie asked me to speak. We usually have this coffee time like once a year actually. And I hope Connie it will be often. And then those were all our ideas, like they just comes up easily for us. And then she asked me, it's like, hey, you need to speak to my event coming this fall, this September. And I'm like, I said yes, but I don't really know what would I talk to, what would I tell these people. It's like just like what Bernie said, the imposter syndrome already sink in. But if you're a busy mom, you just prepare last minute. And I just finished my talk this afternoon, to be honest, and I didn't practice, so that's a warning for everyone. But yeah, my name is Caitlin, and I'm here to share my story to everyone who's here. So picture this. My husband has been an entrepreneur since day one, and I will always be behind his shadows. You would see me filming with him. And if you don't know him, of course, I'm the wife, so I would say he's one of the best videographer that I've known of. And so when we were starting our business, I would always help him out. I will I would film with him, corporate weddings, anything, even funeral. I'm with him to film those events for him, and I thought that was my identity. But then deep down, my inner being, I know I wanted to be somebody. I know that I wanted to be somebody. I know that I'm capable of doing more. But of if you don't know what that something is, you just silence that inner noise inside of you. And that's what I did. So I just silence it. It's like, hey, I'm just gonna keep tagging along with my husband. And at the time, that was in 2020, I also gave birth to our first baby. And so I thought, maybe I can be a stay-at-home mom and be the best mom to our daughter. I can do Montessori full time, just like what I see on social media. And so I thought that was my new identity. It's not just, it's become the best mom for my daughter. But then again, there's this inner voice that tells me that, hey, I wanted to be somebody. I know you're more than that. And so it was during the peak of pandemic when I would try to push my husband to scale our business. And most of the time we end up arguing because he was not the right person to do those things. Because if you know my husband, he's more into the creative space. And so he won't really care about the business growing. He just loves filming. And so even if I push him to be better in our business, he won't do anything. And so it almost broke our marriage. And to be honest, it's not because we fell out of love, but because of the pressure that I wanted him to step up, and he wanted me to find out what I'm good at. But luckily, we didn't broke up. We're still together. And then one day, it just clicked. The person that needed to step up was me. I knew that I needed to decide on which life do I want for myself and my family. And that was my turning point. I remember Ed Milet was asking this one. I was listening to him one time, and he's like, there's you could choose two types in your life. Would you want a merry-go-around life, which is a merry-go-round or a carousel? It just keeps on spinning and spinning and spinning. Yes, it's safe. Yes, it's comfortable, but then it just goes around and around and around and around. Would you want to do that, or you want to have like a roller coaster life where it's like ups and downs and twists? It's like it's crazy. And so I said, "Hey, let's do the roller coaster ride." And that's the turning point on where I chased my dream. And so I remember Les Brown when he found out his love for speaking on stage and how he felt like he was born again. 2 years ago, that's what I felt. And I know, Connie, you saw that glow in me. in my 35 years of existence, I felt that fire within me that I've never experienced before. I'm so excited to wake up in the morning knowing that I found what my purpose and what I'm really good at. I became obsessed with learning video content creation, social media branding, websites, and funnels, and I became good at it. And thanks to Connie, who would always push me that, hey, you can do this, you can do this. And so one day, going back to the coffee sessions with Connie, this is our first time meeting up again. Um, One day, my husband and I are having a coffee with Connie, and I just pitched this idea to her. And then I told her, you know what? I've noticed most people wanted to start on social media, but they're just too scared to start. And then they overanalyze their websites, landing page, sales page, whatever you call it, because of the technicalities. And so they end up doing nothing. So I told her, what if we fill in those gaps? What if I help in? Because I start with women who wants to be present on social media. What if I start with that? And she said, that's a great idea. And so because of Connie, my second baby, which I call it the Conquer Funnel, was born, and I would be forever grateful for Connie for listening and who has been my supporter since day one. She like I said earlier, she always allows me to come out of my comfort zone. So Connie, thank you so much. My husband and I are so grateful for you. And yeah, of course, this journey hasn't been easy. Um, I'm a full-time mom. Like what Connie said, I have two kids. One is 4, one is turning 3 in October this next month. So, and I'm also running a business with my husband, which is a production and social media marketing. And so, juggling between being a mom and a business isn't easy. Um, I don't know how many mental breakdowns I've had over the past 2 years, and just so grateful that my husband is my biggest supporter. But one thing I won't forget, again, it's always, I remember when we were filming Connie, she talks about balance. And during that time, I was so guilty because I was so focused on finding that purpose of me focusing on the business, focusing on being good at it. And I'm of that mom guilt wherein like, what about my children? What about these two? And now I don't have time. Now I can't take care of them full time. What about that? What about that dream of staying with them and watch them grow? So all this mom guilt, which I think most of you can relate to, especially when you have young kids. But then I remember Connie, she said, there's no such thing as balance. Balance is a bunch of bullshit. But what you need to do is you honor the season you are in. And that's what I'm doing. I honor where the season I am now. And I think that's an important thing is you should be aware of where your season is and just fully embrace it. And that's what I'm doing. And she also talks about chisel on how she wrote her book every day with her kids. She said she just chisel it every day, and that's how I do it. I make sure that I get to chisel work every day. Nita said 5 minutes, or Bernii said just do it 5 minutes a day, and just see the compound interest in the 365 days of doing it every day. And that's what's been working for me is doing that. And of course, there's also a quick tip. If you can hire an EA, automate as much as you can. That's how we built our business, is we try to automate as much as I can on the back end so that I can preserve my time with my kids, my family, and I can be intentional with meeting people. But then, so that's how I did it. And who you think your boat is sailing smoothly, it's like, hey, I got this person at a time, one client at a time, meet people. I can do this. I can be a mom. I can run this business and support. And then then one day something comes up. There's a notification on my cell phone, and here's what it said. Have you had your period yet? And I'm like, holy shit. Uh-oh. I told Beryl, let's go to Shoppers. I need to purchase something. It was close to midnight, and he was wondering what it is, but I didn't say anything yet. And so when we're driving back home, that's the time I told him, you know what? I think I'm pregnant. And so he was shocked too, because we thought we're done with two kids. And so my husband being a videographer is like, hey, don't check it yet. I'll record a video of you while you check it. I want to document it. And of course, I didn't listen. I quickly check it and I was telling myself, God, please make it negative. Make it negative. And then I'm looking at the result and like, dang it, two lines. I'm pregnant with number three. And he came in the washroom with camera ready to film me, and I was already sitting on a stool crying. I was crying for maybe half an hour. Not because I was happy, to be honest, but I was so disappointed with myself. And as a woman who just found out her identity, I can't believe that I need to sacrifice it again because I'm pregnant. And just want to be honest, that's how I felt during that time. You know that feeling when you just ignite that fire within you. You just started to know yourself. You became confident again with yourself, and boom, something happened. And so I was in denial for a week. Like literally, I didn't like, I don't want it. I wasn't happy. And then I remember Connie telling me again inside, like, and I don't know for some reasons how maybe the energy, it's like Connie was checking on me. Hey, how are you? But during that time, I was not ready to tell her I'm pregnant yet because I haven't accepted it. But she's like, hey, I'm here if you need me. I'm here to support you and your husband. I love your family and all that. And so, yeah, but I didn't tell anything. But then, yeah, I remember Connie. It's as if she was telling me, you have to embrace the season that you are in. And so slowly, I embraced the season where I am at. I would have wanted to run fast as I could to scale. Like we have two businesses. One is with my husband, and so one is my baby, like the Conquer funnel. But I know I have to slow down and prioritize that moves the needle only. So one thing when you're new, when you're starting to get that dream, to chase that dream, is you're always in a hurry. You're always impatient. And I think even now, like I that's why I was totally relate to Nita when she said 1% at a time, because I always get disappointed, like, hey, I want it now. I want 10,000 people. I want this. But no, and especially if you're a mom, you can't just do that. You just have to embrace the season you are in. Where in fact, John Maxwell said, suppose you want to cut down a huge tree in your front yard and all you have is an axe to cut it down with you. You have to pace yourself every single day. Get up and take 5 swings towards your dream, towards your goal every single day. And yeah, that's how I did it. And now I think that's why chasing your dream isn't easy. It's like you think it's all you're there, but it's not. This year has been tough because tomorrow my son will see a pediatrician. So for months now we've been battling on what is going on with him. They're considering blood cancer, which is very, very rare type. Oh, I didn't know I'll cry here. I would appreciate if you say a short prayer for my son. But do you know why I keep going, regardless of what circumstances that I have or my family have? I know that I have a big dream for myself. It's because I know God has a big, big, big purpose in my life. My son still needs me, my family needs me, and I have a purpose in this world. And so, in closing, give me a moment. If you're a woman and you know that you were born to keep the greatness in you, or maybe you're a mom who wants to transition, Or there is also an inner voice within you that tell you you're capable of doing more. I want to tell you this. You have a responsibility to listen to your heart. Listen to your heart. What's that story you're gonna tell about your life? Who do you want to be one more time? Are you the one? Are you the one or just another one? Because for me and my family, I'm the one. And I hope for you, you'll be the one too. So thank you so much for listening.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. Caitlin, first of all, I wonder, I know that we on this call, we are all from different backgrounds and even different faiths, but could we unite under a common care for Caitlin? And would you be open if I pray for Caitlin and her family? And this means no disrespect to anyone who might have any kind of different practice, but if you don't mind just agreeing for her, God, we agree right now, and we surround Caitlin. We surround her as an online community of friends and people who don't know Caitlin. And we surround her and we ask you to bring her hope and comfort and peace for her family and for this precious son, that you would be surrounding him as well and bringing healing to his blood. And we all agree for that, for Caitlin. Amen.
Thank you.
This is what community is about, is if we need to unite around, we do that. Caitlin, you I just appreciated your honesty so much. Um, just because I think as moms, there's a complexity. Thank you for bringing up to embrace the season.
Mhm.
You know what's so interesting is that, and I'm grateful to hear I've been able to encourage you, but what's so interesting is that this Dream Academy we're about to launch is because of you and having coffee with you and Beryl. You were speaking into my life, saying after I resigned from my job, I was kind of not sure what I was going to do anymore. And you and Beryl sat me down and you said, you are called to invest in women. We see this in you. And so this tonight is because you and Beryl encouraged me. And what we're about to release with the Dream Academy is because you and Beryl spoke that into my life. So thank you. And I'm so pleased to mention to everyone that um, in the Dream Academy, there is a marketing side to it. So if anybody's out there building a business and you need video and you need social media or you need a website, check out my website. Caitlin did my website. Uh, Check it out because we actually I should say, we refer Caitlin's business to everyone who comes through the Dream Academy who needs these things. Because number one, like Bernii said, you're a great listener. You're so good at being able to help people with this. You were born to do this. And I have no doubt that in this new season of a new baby and what your son is going through, that you're going to find the rhythm. You're
Mhm.
going to find the rhythm
Yeah.
because it's
Thank you so much.
possible. Grateful for you, Caitlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grateful for
And
you.
if you want to put your website or your socials in the chat, there's some people asking. Um, Anska, I can't recommend them enough. And
Mm.
again, if you're in the Dream Academy, you get a really killer deal. So I'll
Yeah.
just put that plug in there that she's just done an incredible deal for us if anyone is going to be in that. So thank you, Caitlin. Bless your heart. We love you. Well, I want to invite someone, everyone tonight is so special. And Christine is one of those special people. Christine is someone who is living her dream. She is stepping out of her familiar, being a financial advisor, being somebody who's been in the financial world with letters behind her name in the financial world, stepping into some new exciting things. And I wanted her to come and share what it's been like for her because, again, there's somebody who's in the arena. How many of you have heard that quote? by Theodore Roosevelt. Like the credit goes to the one who is in the arena. Well, that's Christine. And Christine, I can't wait for you to share with us tonight. So welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that, Connie. I'm delighted to be here tonight. And I know I've said this to you a million times, but whatever you're doing, I'm always in. You just have to say you wanna, and I'm going to say yes. I love working with you. So I do have a few things to say tonight, and it's a lot of it's going to be repeated. I am in the wonderful position of following these amazing leaders tonight. So Connie mentioned my name is Christine Lang, and yes, I do have a bit of alphabet soup behind my name, but I have lived and learned life the hard way. And I want to help everyone to get to their big life faster with fewer knocks than I had to take when it comes to your money. So I'm a high school dropout. And I left home and school when I was 16. I had no job, I had no place to live, and I had zero plan. And I went from that to a successful corporate finance career. And then I've spent the last 15 years as a successful business owner. I am a, I'm telling you that I'm a highly educated woman, and there's a reason I'm telling you that. Because while I'm highly educated, I went from decades of living with crushing debt, living a lie, pretending to be somebody that I wasn't. I know what it's like to struggle for everything I have. And my mission in this world is to support women to reach their dreams. So there are a few things that I'm excited about right now. And in true entrepreneurial spirit, I've got a few things going on. So I wrote a book about money, but from a very different perspective. It's called Break Up with Your Budget, Break Up with your budget, ditch your money story, and step into your big life. And I love, Nita, that you talked about what our minds are doing, because one of the focuses in my money coaching business is about how our habits, they're not our fault. They really aren't. We learned our money habits from our families and what they taught us, or if you're like me, what they didn't teach us. And money carries so much shame and fear, and it's so vulnerable. And my work is all about creating a safe space for my clients so they can feel the feels, cry the tears, and build a clear path forward that creates permanent success. I'm also pursuing speaking opportunities. I feel like I have such a powerful message to help people change how they think and feel about money. Traditional advisors, they just want to tell you what you should do with your money, how you should spend it, create a budget. But what I want to do is I want to give you the tools to put you in the driver's seat with your money. And maybe this will be the very first time you're in that driver's seat. And I'm also growing my coaching business. So as a CPA, and I've been working with money and business for over 30 years, I've learned that education alone does not change your behavior. If it did, we'd only have one book on any bookshelf in any library. And you'd turn to page 57 and be like, oh, this is how I pay off my debt. And then you go to page 92 and you'd be like, oh, this is how I make money. And you'd close the book, put it back on the shelf, and away you go, and everybody would be successful. But did you know in a recent study that the average Canadian owes $1.86 for every dollar that they earn, pardon me. So that alone says it is not just about education that indicates how we're going to spend our money. So it just doesn't. So my mission, like I said, is just to transform how the world thinks and feels about money. And I've been a financial advisor since 2009. So gosh, like 15 years. I don't know where all that time has gone. And I've been coaching my clients around their money the entire time. But it was a few years ago that I realized that the coaching part of my business was fundamental to my clients creating long-term success. That if they didn't change their relationship with their money and their money story and their money beliefs, that they could not have long-term success. So in order to do that, I felt like I needed, I do have a lot of, I always say my penance for quitting high school when I was 16 is that I will forever be in school. And so um, true to nature, I decided, well, if I'm going to branch out into tradition, like more of a coaching role, that I needed to get certified. And it actually took me quite a while to find an organization that I wanted to certify through. I found that so many of them, all they really wanted was my money, and they were just going to give me an online course. So I found a program that was actually interested in me and my business and my success, and I got certified. And then finally this year, I wrote my book. I've been flirting with writing a book for I can't even tell you how long. And I finally got serious this year and wrote it. Here it is. This is the draft. Whoop, whoop. Thank you, Shar. This is Shar's photography there on the cover. So it hasn't been an easy ride for sure. And there are a lot of things that I needed to overcome as I went back to school, got educated, started working corporately, and moving from a job into my own business. That could be a whole other conversation down the road. But I've known for several years that breaking out this coaching component of my business was important. And it's what I really wanted to do. It's the part of my business that brings me pure joy. It's the one thing that you talk about what you would do for free. I will do that for free. I do it for free. I have done it for free. Now I want to get paid for it. But it's overwhelming for me. It was overwhelming, and it still is as I'm growing about, really starting about growing this from scratch. My financial planning business is successful, and I'd forgotten what it was like to start from scratch and looking for new clients. So I also found a coaching certification, as I mentioned, a company that was more interested in my success than just taking my money. And what I also realized is that I also needed to follow a fundamental framework. Now, I didn't realize until I went through the coaching program that I had a framework, but it's something that I have innately followed my whole life. And I'd like to share it with you guys because I think it might help some women. So, first and foremost, is that I always make a decision. I decide to make a change. Something has to change. I need to learn something, but it's making that fundamental decision. The second component is asking for help. Now, you've heard a lot of this already tonight, but I'd really like to reinforce this because we can't build these businesses on our own. We need support. We need community. We need people. I can't remember who said, it was somebody who said it was just a few steps ahead of them as they were growing their business. And you don't know what you don't know, and I didn't know what I didn't know. And so I ask for help and guidance regularly. And I have to say thank you to you, Connie, for all of your support as I worked through all of the muck. And then, of course, been there to help me celebrate the wins on the other side. The third component to this framework is just taking consistent small steps. Progress is made in micro movements. And it's these small things, these small steps made every single day that are going to add up. And then when you look back on the days, weeks, months, and years behind you, you'll go, holy smokes, I can't, like, look at the amazing thing that you have built. And then rinse and repeat. Because through that whole process, you're going to have to redecide. I'll use I statements. I've had to redecide over and over and over again that this is what I wanted to do. I might change my mind in how I'm going to achieve it, but I'm always recommitting, deciding again, asking for help, taking small steps. So now my business had grown and it was very successful. And then one of my biggest challenges, the things that I had to overcome, is that I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2016. And while going through treatment is no picnic, I have to say that post-treatment was harder to overcome than the treatment itself, getting back into daily life and routine. I had to learn how to trust my brain again. I had to overcome crippling fatigue. And probably even bigger was I had to rebuild my confidence that I could actually, the work that I do is prior to the coaching is very head heavy. It's very brainy. And so I really had to rebuild that confidence. But I would say overall, as I've been building my business, whether it was my planning business or now as I'm building my money coaching business, is one of my biggest challenges is me. I get in my way a lot. And that's where having Connie, a coach, can help me. And pardon me, it's invaluable because you help me see where I'm blocking myself. And then we build a plan to move forward. And then I just do it anyway. Even though I'm scared, even though I'm unsure, I just keep taking those small, consistent steps. And now that I'm making a bigger shift into the money coaching business, I'm learning to be vulnerable and consistent with social media. I know, Caitlin, but it is my weak spot, and it is something that I consistently have to work at because it doesn't come comfortably for me. And my journey so far has been a roller coaster. It really has been, whether it's from learning new technology and showing up in social media to stressing about making money and managing my time between a financial planning business and moving over into this new area. And like I said before, my biggest obstacle is definitely me. And I will get caught up in my fear. But what I know for sure is that I am doing work that I am completely passionate about and that I know is incredibly powerful and it changes lives. So, my advice to all of you who are thinking about stepping into your dreams, I would say be scared and do it anyway. Make a list of absolutely everything that you need to do or learn, everything, every tiny little thing. Get it out of your head, get it on paper, and then organize it, and then break it down into bite-sized pieces, very small pieces. Maybe today that small step forward is registering your website. And maybe tomorrow, all that you can do is make a social media post. Not that I know anything about that, but it's about doing small things consistently every single day. And I promise you that those small steps are going to add up to momentous movement forward. And finally, most importantly, celebrate. Celebrate everything. Celebrate the highs, celebrate the lows, celebrate the fact I made a post today. Celebrate everything. And I just want to say to you all, you got this. You can absolutely do this. Thank you, Connie.
Wow, Christine. I have to say, I have watched Christine get consistent. So when I do scroll, I'm like, there she is, she's doing it. And it's really cool to watch someone who has had a barrier, and when you see them start to overcome it. And that's the beautiful thing about knowing other people who are in the struggle, because you see them out there. And it encourages me on the days that I'm like, oh, whatever, I'm so done. And then I see Christine and I know what it took for her to do that. I'm like, what's my excuse? Get up, Connie. Keep going. Like, Christine, you keep me going. And I have to say that Christine is, in my opinion, if you have a business, okay, so some of you are just starting and you're in discovery mode, and that's great. If you have a business, having someone to help you with your money, the money side of business, because here's what I'm learning. This is what I'm learning in business, is that I'm great at revenue. I can make tons of money. I'm actually pretty good at making money, but do I have profit? And there's a difference. And so if you have a business and you're bringing in revenue, do you have profit? And Christine is excellent at helping you with money. Now, in your life, she's also excellent at helping with money. One of the things that Christine and I have had numerous conversations about is that people have more money than they think, and it's just slipping through their fingers. Christine, do you have that little tool by chance? I'm just curious,
I
that little tool.
do. Yeah, my KISS spreadsheet. It's my KISS method. I'd be happy to share it with your audience.
Okay. However, they can get that because there's probably money slipping through your fingers and you don't even know it. You might have even been thinking through this process the last 2 nights, like this all sounds great, but we're broke.
Yeah.
Christine is your woman. And
Yeah.
in the Dream Academy, again, I refer people to Christine when it comes to helping you with your money. And so it's something that we can add on because I really do believe that we want to be wise. Like one of the things I shared that I just resigned from my job last year. I don't want anyone quitting their jobs. Please do not quit your job. And when I share how I felt led to forego a 90K a year job to work for free. Please don't do that. That's not wise. I'm only doing this because I know in my heart that there's other ways I'm going to resource it. I have a plan. I don't know if it's going to work, but I have a plan. And so Christine is wonderful at coming alongside and helping you because you deserve to financially grow as well. I truly believe there's one of my favorite TED Talks is about nonprofits are allowed to profit. And it doesn't mean
Mm,
that they're making tons of
mm,
money, but like for themselves, for their greed. It means that people have to make a living. And we live in a hard world right now where rent is high, mortgages are high, interest is high. You need to be taken care of. And so being wise with money right now is probably right up there with emotional intelligence as really important skills. And so Christine, your timing in starting this business of yours is just right on money, not to be punny.
pun. It's a punny.
It's right on the money. It's timely.
Mm,
And so did you
yeah.
put that in the chat, Christine?
I'm
Okay,
just looking
excellent.
for the QR code and I just can't seem to find it, because of course when you're in a hurry and you're trying to find stuff and you can't find it. But if you're going to
Of
talk for a
course.
couple of more minutes, I'm sure that I have it here. I just need to find it. There we go. I got it.
Absolutely.
I got
Okay,
it.
awesome. Yeah, so definitely take her up on this because this is her free offering. This is something that she's giving you. And so take what you can get because this is good stuff. And so thank
Mm.
you so much, Christine.
I can't. Sorry, I'm having. So, did I mention that technology was something that I'm trying to learn?
Well,
I
tell you
can't.
what, if you get it to work, great. And if not, I'm sending everyone the last 2 nights, last night and tonight, I'm sending the recordings
Okay,
by tomorrow. Like so
okay,
we can
perfect.
send that out with the recording. You can check that
I'll
out.
send you the QR code. It doesn't seem to want to paste into the chat, so I don't know what I'm doing wrong on a Canva.
All good. All good.
Technology.
We'll figure it out. We'll
Thank
get
you,
it to
Connie.
everybody.
Thank you,
Love
Connie.
you,
It's my
Todd.
pleasure.
Well, this brings us to our final blueprint, which again is in your workbook. It's number 7. It's on the last page here. Create from constraint. Please don't wait until you have enough money, until you feel like you're at a certain level. I truly believe that we create best from constraint. When I have too much choice and too much resource, I get lazy. I don't do anything with it. Like Netflix, I will spend an hour looking for a movie. And then by the time I've got the movie, I'm like, oh, shoot, it's time for me to go to bed because I have too much choice. I have too much resource. When we have constraints, I have a limited amount of money. Friends, I have a limited amount of money, but I always think about how can I get this out there in the least expensive way and in the best way I can have my time. I do something called bootstrapping. Has anyone ever heard of the word bootstrapping? I bootstrap things. Okay, so for example, I want to start this foundation. it takes a good 6 months, maybe Christine can tell me, 6 months to a year to get a charitable status. Because I've got to apply for a nonprofit status and then I got to go through all this stuff. It's going to take me time, but I want to raise money right now. And so instead of sitting there going, well, okay, well, I guess I can't start my foundation. I guess I'll have to wait. I don't know about you, but the creative brain that you have gets ignited when there's a barrier. And so I thought, well, what do I have at my disposal right now? What could I get? Well, I need a board. Well, I can get a board. I can get people to be on my board of directors without a charitable status yet, people who believe in the cause. So that's what I did. I went out and I got a board. Check. I have people. Okay, great. Now I want to take donations. What could I possibly use to get donations? Oh my goodness. You can start a GoFundMe. Oh my goodness, I'm going to start a GoFundMe. Is it perfect? No. Is it where I want it to be? No, but I'm going to start. That's where we start. And so for you, oftentimes we can think of all the I have nots. Yeah, buts. We all got yeah, buts. Yeah, but can't do it right now because I have no time. You just heard from Caitlin, who has two young children, one of them going through a major medical issue, and she's pregnant and she's still doing it. I don't know about you, but she's creating from constraint, and that inspires me. It doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be elaborate, but it can be something. Think about a piano for a minute. Piano has 12 white keys and then a couple of octaves, right? And then it's got some black keys in between. Think about how many musical compositions have been created from 12 notes. Think about it, friends. That's creating from constraint. And so, as we go through, what I'm going to share with you next, if you stay till the end, not only, okay, what time is it? If you stay till the end, I'm going to give you ways that you can work with constraint with your time and money. I'm not going to give you money advice like Christine does, but I'm going to give you some tips on how you can create from constraint, those who wait till the end. And then we're actually going to have a short group coaching session at the end. So if you stick this out, so because what I want to do right now, and this is what's coming, is how can you work your time and your money in order to start these dreams from happening, whether you're just starting from ground zero or whether you are relaunching or going to another level. This will work for both. Okay. So who's in? Who's staying to get the tips? Okay. Because what I want to do right now is I want to share with you a little bit of what your options are once tonight is over, right? You have two options. You might have five options, but here's the two I can think of. You can keep going and just being like, you know what, that summit was great, but I know what's going to happen. You're going to lose the notebook that I gave you, or it's going to get lost. You're going to move on with your life. The barriers that you had before are going to come back. The naysayers are still going to be there, and you might be able to be resilient for a while, but then it's going to hit hard. It's going to hit hard again. And when hard times hit, it's tough. And so you can try to thug this out on your own, or you can join others with some proven steps to get launched this year. Proven steps, steps that I've done for literally 25 years of my own life. And so I'm wondering how many of you, after hearing all these stories, after hearing all these tips, how many of you are ready to dream? Whether you choose option one, do it on your own, or you're ready to maybe join a group like ours, doesn't matter to me. Are you ready to dream? Who's ready? Put yes in the chat. If you're like, you know what, that's it. I'm putting my line in the sand. It's time. You know what? Christine did it. I can do it. Caitlin's doing it. I can do it. Who has this been? Yes. You need more of this. Boy, do I ever too. I didn't realize how much I needed this. These last two nights have inspired me. I've been hanging around like little Eeyore lately. Yes. Okay. Well then, friends, I want to share with you how you could journey continually with us. We are launching the Dream Academy for women who want to make an impact. Now, friends, this has been a dream of mine for many, many years. Since I was 25 years old, I asked God when I was 25 years old to make me a dream releaser of people. Now, I think back when I was 25, he must have looked at me and went, well, you're a little immature. Your prefrontal cortex just kind of turned on. let's just wait 25 years. But it's been in my DNA for that long. And like I said, it's just so interesting that when I was out for coffee with Caitlin and Beryl, this got launched. This got launched in here. Like I said, been chiseling away at it. You're all of a sudden like, oh, how all of a sudden this is here? No, this has been chiseling away. And last year, like I said, I resigned from my job, and my job had an element of this to it, but it wasn't mine. I was working with other people who are amazing, and I still have the most utmost respect for them. But I had to figure out, what does this look like for me? And so last year I tried a couple of things, and I had my launch strategy, and I was coaching women, many of them who you've met. But what was missing was, through feedback that I got from clients, was we need more mindset work. We need more identity work. Like we need to know, how do we, Vayan talks about, you want to build high, you got to go deep. How do I do that? And I realized that I needed a team. I needed people who could join me in this. And because I've worked with Nita and Shar for all these years, I knew that they had skills that I don't have to offer people. And that my sweet spot is in the launch. And so I asked them, hey, would you dream with me? Would you help me with this Dream Academy? And so I want to share with you what this looks like. What the Dream Academy includes is your 10-step launch plan. This is what it looks like. It looks like getting secure in who you are, so you can finally lose imposter syndrome and get it out of your vocabulary. I want to just tell you that it's absolutely possible for you to be imposter syndrome free. It really is. I, for one, am not an imposter. I have made peace with that because I've gotten secure in who I am. Now I got a whole other I got a list of other things I'm working on, but that's one thing I've been able to overcome. Number two, smashing those limited mindsets. And Nita said this, and it's so true. Working on our mindsets every single day. Every morning, I spend time with God. Every morning, I find out who I am. Every morning, I work on my mindset. I am disciplined when it comes to my morning routine, because those limiting mindsets, they are crushing. When your fear is so high, I'll tell you what, you look it square in the face and you're like, oh my goodness, like it seems impossible. But if you work on your mindset, I'll tell you what, the fear gets less and less. The third step in the launch plan is to explore your dream. Now, whether that's just starting or whether that's leveling up, I have had to re-explore my dream many times over. So even if you have a business, friends, I've been in business for 12 years, and I'm constantly having to evolve it to meet the new needs of the world out there, but also to rediscover myself. And that's where number four comes in. Once there's that discovery, it's redefining. Did I forget the D? I did. I forgot the D in redefining. Oh, refining. No, I didn't miss it. It's refining your dream. It's sharpening it. A lot of people love going up to number three. That's where a lot of people go. But I dare you to go to number four, where Bernie's at, where she's had an idea and now she's refining it. How can we make this crystal clear? Discovering who you will help. Friends, can I just give you a little bit of business advice right now? And if this is all you get from me, I'm telling you, you're getting gold. That number five is the most important part of your business, because a lot of people have dreams and they put it out there and nobody wants it. If it doesn't solve a problem that's out there, then it is literally just a dream. This is number five, not number one. Now we're refining the problem that you solve. If you can't answer, by the time we get to this step in the Dream Academy, if I ask you, what problem do you solve? You're going to be able to answer it just like that. What problem do you solve? What problem do I solve in schools? And Bernii, that's why my heart is connected to Bernii. We solve disconnection. We solve isolation. We solve kids dropping out of school. We solve burnout in teachers. That's what we're solving. I could tell you. I have no problem telling you because I know it. And so for you to know it, it's huge. Number six, those brave tools to market yourself. Caitlin is a huge part of this. right? What are you going to need to get out there? Some of you are like, oh, the idea of putting myself out there, it's scary. You know, to this day, it's still scary for me. If you see me on social media, can you please know this? That every post I make, I have done with fear. Every post. Because I'm just like, oh, here I go again. Yep, it's me. Hello, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. That's me. I'm thinking that all the time. I literally every day hear that little voice, that little critic in the back of my head that says, Connie, sit down and shut up. Nobody wants to hear from you. I hear that every single day. And so if you see me post, I've overcome that little gremlin. The ninth step is building your brand. Shar speaks into this as well. The photos that you see of Christine, the photos you see of Jill, the photos you see of me, the photos you see of Nita. What I love about Shar is that she actually brings out who you are. I don't have to be somebody I'm not out there on social media, which is fantastic because I don't want to be. And then the last one is crafting that business plan. Now, maybe you're like, I don't want to do business. I just want to launch a community project. Well, you're going to need a plan. When I started my community dance class, I didn't just go, I think I'll just start it. No, there was a plan to it. And so that's number 10. We're actually going to create a plan. And so if you're wondering, well, why me? Well, I'm a launch expert. In the last 14 years, I've written 4 books. I've started 3 businesses. I've now launched a national nonprofit, and I'm going to do it again now. I've produced 6 theater shows. I've been a keynote speaker for hundreds of events, and I have launched women into TV, film, books, speaking, nonprofits, business, and community engagement. That's why me. But I also want to tell you why Shar. Shar is your branding expert. She has helped so many people launch their brands, not just through her quality photos, not just through her creative coaching, but because she brings out the essence of who you are. She speaks identity over your life and she brings out that I am statement. That I am statement that you wrote in the chat or you wrote in your book, she brings that to life. Nita is a mindset renewal expert. She's helped so many people be able to overcome those crippling mindsets to get out there and launch. And she's done it for herself. She's gone from small town girl to actually speaking on those stages that she used to dream of. And so if you're wondering, have people actually benefited from this? Who's been through this? Well, I want to introduce you to Nola. I've walked Nola through this process, and she said that process spoke to me within those deep places in myself that wanted more, rising from the ashes to find purpose in life, cultivating joy, intention in connections, and knowing that I was made for more than how I was living, which had just been existing and over and only in survival mode. How many of you can relate to that? She was able to bust out of that. You know what Nola's doing now? Nola is leading an organization. She's flying to Kansas every couple of months to go get coaching in a very specific niched area that she's in. And she's now leading a Canadian-wide national nonprofit. It's unbelievable. Let me tell you about Brandy. Brandy said, you helped me dream despite pain and disappointment, to believe that big things are still possible. Here's a girl who has been disillusioned by dreaming, triggered by dreaming, and now has freedom to be on the journey and hope that things can change. Brandy has been taking up a whole new way of launching gym programs in physical education, launching things that help women feel really good about their bodies. And her and her husband are about to resurrect a dream that had died years ago, and they're now stepping into something. I can't tell you what it is because I don't have her permission, but I'll tell you that the dream had died and now she's stepping into it. This is so key for some of you. Some of you are like, the idea of dreaming just sounds like it's not for me. I actually wrote a blog, I forget how many years ago, and it said, I dreamed big, but it didn't work out. How many of you have actually tried to step out and it didn't work out? Well, that's not the time to quit. It just means it didn't work out that time. Brandy is living proof. And let me tell you lastly about Christina. She said speaking skills, the innate in the ability to have to build and create community, that's what drew her. And she's got a business, and we helped her with the idea of building her business, that now she's out there killing it. She's getting calls from organizations to set up peer support models within their organizations. She's doing so well. So if you're needing to know, does this work? It absolutely does. And so what we're offering two different tracks. I want to tell you about the one that includes Mexico. Who wants to go to Mexico? Can I tell you about that one first? Okay, let me tell you about the mastermind. This has been a dream of mine for years. And can I just even share with you where I would love this dream to go before I even walk you through this? Now, remember, this is all valued at. Please don't think this is the price, okay? I'm showing you the value. I want to take a group of women to Spain to walk the El Camino one day. I want to take women on missions trips around the world to do humanitarian work. I want travel to be a part of all the packages that I offer in the future because when we travel, we're changed. And I want to do stuff that is fun and it's for us, but I also want to do those trips where we go to Bangladesh and we work in an orphanage. I want to go to South America and I want to go to the ghetto. I want to go to the places where they need people to come alongside. I want to go with Samaritan's Purse somewhere in the world and watch them deliver those shoe boxes or where they come in and do flood aid. And I want to bring women who want to experience that too. But for now, we're going to Mexico. Okay, so this is what you get in the mastermind. You get one whole year of access. So this is a year program. Okay, this isn't just a few weeks. This is a year in that 10-step process. There's video modules and a workbook so that you can go at your own pace. Some of you like to go slower. Some of you are like, oh, I wish I could watch that again. You'll be able to. You're going to get a supportive community like we've experienced the last 2 nights. I have an inner circle accelerator. I'm going to start it again in January for anyone who's like, I just want to go. Well, that's kind of my personality. And so if you like the wrecking ball approach, I'm your girl. So we're going to put you in the accelerator. That's included. In this one, you're going to get monthly one-on-one personalized coaching. And we're going to go to Mexico. So let me tell you what this is. Oh, let's show you Mexico first. This is literally the resort we're going to. Let me show you these a little bit bigger. Okay, so this is the resort. It's right on the beach. Oh my goodness, can we go tomorrow? I just want to go tomorrow. Another little picture. I'll be going back and forth from the beach and the pool. There's a spa in there, and these are the rooms. They're just gorgeous. And so it's not just going to be a mastermind. You're going to have lots of free time, but it's going to ignite you in a way that you never thought you could be ignited. And again, I want to highlight my friend Alexis because she went to Mexico in a world where probably a ton of people around her are going, what? I can't even imagine traveling, but she imagined it and she made it happen. I love that. And so the value of all of this is $13,000. But the great news is that we're only charging 7,500. That includes your flights. That includes your food. That includes all of your accommodations. That includes the year program. Christine is looking at me right now like I'm crazy because she knows the market value of what goes on out there in the world. She knows that these are usually worth 10 to 20 grand. But my heart is to make this accessible for people. And so that's track one. Okay. Probably won't offer this price again, just so you know. But then there's a second track, which is people who are like, you know what, that sounds great. I would love to do that, but that's way out of my budget. Well, here's your second option. It still includes that 1 year of access and support in the 10-step launch process. You still get a whole year. You still get the video modules and the workbook. You still get the community. We still meet as a group once a month. So you're going to be getting the group coaching setting. You're actually going to get bonus modules, finding your brave belonging in order to move yourself forward. And so this one, total value, this one's worth about $5,500, but we're only charging 1997. And again, I had a friend today because I've had people message me and saying, okay, like I'm not waiting. Don't make me wait for tonight. Tell me what you're launching, Connie, because I like literally have told nobody. And when I told them the price of this one, they actually they said, Connie, that's ridiculous. You should be charging a lot more. I was in a course last week where they were launching a $24,000 coaching program. Here's my problem with that is when you're just starting, you please don't ever spend a lot of money on things that don't give you that kind of return. What I have found in being in the coaching world and in the professional development world is that there's people out there and they're good coaches. It's not even that they're not good, but they're charging $24,000 to people who are just starting. You know when you pay $24,000 is when you've started to make a profit and now maybe you're at 100 grand a year, 150 grand a year, and you want to go to another level. Or that's when you start paying bigger prices. But Shar, Nita, and we were talking about this the other day. We were like, what about the people who are just starting, who literally have nothing? How do we help them? And that's why we're charging these prices. The quality of what you're going to get is tremendous. And it's been refined because of all the time that I've been able to spend launching women. And so if you're wondering, well, is there a payment plan? I don't just have that money in the back of my pocket. Yes, there's a payment plan. In fact, right here, if you look at the bottom of the screen, that's my website. Again, Caitlin did my website /Dream Academy. If you go there, all you have to do is you register online. You can pay online. We've made it so easy. I think one of them is putting that in the chat right now. So if you want to just put that in the chat, the link, you could check it out. But that's what meant a lot to me was to have payment plans. And so we start next week, friends, because there's no time like the present. For me, when I've had to make decisions about whether I was going to step into my dream, I forget, Bernii, you said it was a really cool word. It was that middle. When you're launching from the trapeze to the next one,
Liminal
there's a decision.
space.
What's it called?
Liminal space.
Liminal space, right? I don't want to give you too much of that, or else you're going to fall, right? Unless there's a net down there. Here's the thing, making a decision is sometimes the greatest thing that you can do. Yes or no, line in the sand, gonna do it or I'm not gonna do it. And sometimes that's what we need. And so we're opening the cart, and the cart means that the website, that's up. You can jump in, but it closes next Monday because I only launch this twice a year. And the reason why I do that is because I have other jobs that I do. I have passions and dreams of my own. My personal dream is community, doing things in my own community and doing things in schools. That is where my passion lies. And so this is a part of what I do. And so the reason why we launch it twice a year is because, again, it also brings us to a decision. And so if you know in your heart that this is for you in this season, for such a time as this, I want you to jump on it. I don't want you to wait because, man, if I wouldn't have waited, you would not be here right now. If Nita wouldn't have, if she would have just been like, I think I'm just gonna just wait till I get all my ducks in a row, all the people she's influenced would not be where they are either. It's time to start. I have a lady who I've been chatting with for about 4 years, and she's always like, you know what? It's just not time. It's just not time. I finally got super bold yesterday and I said, guess what? It's time. No more excuses. Stop making excuses because this is the same stuff you've been saying for 4 years. It's time. Don't be like that because people need you. We need you. There's people out there whose lives are going to change because you said yes. And just like Caitlin, the person who needed to level up, I loved when you said that, Caitlin. The person who needed to level up was me. The person who needs to level up is no one else around you but you. And so I want to give you what I promised. Those of you who have stayed till the end, I want to give you a structure on time. Now, again, a good coach is a person who asks questions, doesn't always just tell you the answers. So the first thing that I want you to ask yourself when it comes to your time, if you think you don't have enough time, if you're like, oh, I don't have time to do this, then the dream isn't important enough to you because we always make time for what we love. You can tell what you love by your visa statement and by what you spend your time on. And if you don't like your visa statement, and if you don't like what you're spending on your time on, the great news is that you are a powerful person who can make a powerful choice for yourself and you can change it. So when can you work on your dream? Can you work on it 5 minutes a day? Can you work on it once a week? And I want you to write this down. I want you to open up your workbook. I want you to open up your laptop wherever you're watching. And I just want you to think, when can I work on my dream? And I want you to make a commitment. Now, if you're in the Dream Academy, we're going to work on your dream once a month. Once a month. And then you're going to have little tasks in between, but they're not going to be big. See, the beautiful thing about a year is that it's not like we're going to launch by Friday. This is going to be a nice process. And what's beautiful about it is you just follow the steps. It's like, oh, this month I'm doing this. Great. I know exactly what I need to do. Right? Next month, okay, great. You know what? They know where I need to go. So I'm just going to follow the path and I'm just going to do the steps. Second step with time is how much time can you give your dream per day? I want you to really be realistic about this. I also see women flounder around when they're unrealistic, when they're like, I'm going to spend an hour every morning. You know what, friends? Can I just say, in my experience, no, you're not. Okay. Because I'm not. Most people, maybe not. Maybe you are, but let's come back down. Let's maybe start in when we're dealing with anxiety in schools, we call this gradual exposure, right? So we get a kid to come for an hour instead of making them come for the whole day. And then it gradually gets more and more and more as time goes on. We don't just throw them in, right? So let's do the same here. Can we start with 5 minutes? And then when you're feeling like, yeah, I can do this, maybe we add 10, 30 minutes. But how much time can you give? And be very realistic with your starting point, not where you want to be. And then what is a realistic expectation? This is a continual question. What's realistic? What's realistic? Friends, my favorite word is no. No, nope, can't do that. Sorry. No thanks. Nope, can't volunteer for that. How many times has the word yes gotten you into so much trouble? And now it's cluttered your schedule so that you can't say yes to the things that you really want. What do you need to clear away in order to make room for your dream? What are you tired of filling your schedule with so that this dream of yours just keeps lying there in the dirt? So what's realistic and what needs to go? Where does the answer no come in? Yeah, and I want you to just have so much joy when you say the word no. No, 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 no. So that you can say a super happy yes to all the things that you really, really, truly care about. Now, with money, again, I'm no Christine, but where can you stop spending money to invest in your dream? Now, I love Christine because she talks about how budgets suck. And I love that. I'm not talking about creating a budget. I'm not talking about living off of pork and beans, but remember what Marika said. Can I give up the Starbucks this week so that I can save up for something, right? But if you work with Christine, she'll also teach you to keep having fun with your money. It's also good to know what your dream is going to cost. Now, for example, like I think we've heard almost every speaker say that they have a coach. It is so worth investing. If you don't invest in Dream Academy, invest somewhere. Find yourself a coach. I will say that to work with me personally one-on-one without the Dream Academy, I am $2,000 a year, and that's still very bottom line. So $2,000 with all of that included is incredible because I knew that I wanted to have a full something of great value for people. But to work with me one-on-one, if you're just like, I don't want to do Dream Academy, can I just work with you? Just guess what? It's the same price. I've just now packed it with value. So maybe you're like, okay, I want to do Dream Academy. That's going to cost me this amount of money. And now you start to reverse engineer. How's this going to work? And how can you be creative? Like I said, we create in constraint. When I first started working in schools and started to see the budget constraints, and all I would hear from everybody is, oh, like complaining about no money. I started to think, now where's the opportunity to get creative here? And that's where the foundation came. That's where the idea of this realtor, I'm like, oh yeah, realtors care about communities. What if they invested? And so I want you to think way outside the box when it comes to how you fund yourself. There are so many ideas. And one of the things that we're going to do in the Dream Academy is have brainstorming sessions where you are able to brainstorm creative ways that no one else is thinking about on ways to fund your dreams. There are creative ways that are different than what you see out there. Doesn't have to be the way we all just know it to be. There are new creative innovation solutions coming to you this year. Do you receive that? I'm going to say it again because some of you just need to catch that. There are new, creative, innovative ways for you to fund your dream this year. That's going to be imparted. So we're open. We are open. That's kind of surreal, actually, because this has been in my heart for so many years. And what I did was I took a year off because I wanted to honor the workplace that I came from because they have their own year program. And I just didn't want to launch that too soon. I didn't want there to be any animosity. I didn't want there to be any appearance of competition. I wanted to be honorable. But guess what? It's been a year and now I'm launching this baby because this is something that's so passionate for me and I can't wait. We are open. We're open.